Hello and welcome to Sidequest. This is our weekly video game show here at Geekverse. I'm your host, Dylan Musk, and with me the license to quest, Travis Snell. I love that nickname. How are you doing tonight?
Not too bad, sir. I am doing well. Excited to talk about a few things, but Bond, I'm very excited to talk about that. Felt like we went from hearing nothing about this game to we're hearing, I won't say everything, but a lot. Hearing about $300 versions you can buy.
Yep. Yeah, it's been quite the Bond summer. I feel like there was like 4 separate times that it showed up in showcases and things, and this was finally maybe the biggest showcase, so we're going to break that down towards the end of the show. That should be fun. I've been playing the maybe most anticipated game of the year, although people didn't know it was actually coming out this year, and then like as of 3 weeks ago it was finally coming out, which is, of course, Hollow Knight Silksong. And then we'll talk about some of the other games we've been playing, so it should be a fun episode. What's up?
I feel like other than GTA 6, I'm not saying this is a for sure statement, is there anything that comes to mind other than Hollow Knight that would have been, let's say, when you start 2020, and just broad ideas, right? Because I feel like I've been hearing about Hollow Knight for years, and I hear all, like, whatever it is, state of plays, it's like all the time that would come, like, when we're hearing about this, I felt like it got to the point where people were almost annoyed that it felt like that one where it's like, it's like over the amount of times we should have heard about it, but I'm just trying to rack my brain on, and like I guess I could say Spider-Man 2 was another one like that had a lot of hype at the time, but I don't think as much as Hollow Knight.
No, definitely not. I think that's kind of, it's funny because it's like it's definitely the top of the heap in terms of indies, but I also do feel like it kind of was the top of the heap other than GTA for just like games overall, which is pretty crazy. And I think part of that is that at least with the GTA hype cycle, like, okay, we know this game's been in development forever, but like when they finally announced it, like all those dates have been pretty consistent. Yeah, they kicked it back, till 2026. But I feel like it hasn't really been like, oh, it's coming out 2022. Just kidding. 2023. Just kidding. I feel like Hollow Knight's had a little bit of that. I think Team Cherry, the developers, have been mostly quiet, but it definitely had like, it's one of those games that I feel like had multiple release dates, and then like, okay, it's finally out. And I feel like it was also one that I couldn't tell if it was just a meme, because it just popped up in all these showcases, and then when people see people just memeing about it, then they start memeing about it, and it just becomes this like snowball. But then the fact that it came out and crashed every storefront, like the Switch was crashed, Xbox, I tried to like come on the day of, download it, and then I had to go to work, so I was like, I'm gonna get this download. It was just, they took it off the store because it was like fucking everything up. PlayStation Store went down. Steam, I don't think Steam went down. It might have, but it like broke concurrent records, so it's like, okay, this game actually does have the audience for it too. It wasn't just like a fake meme one, which we've I feel like the Morbius or like jokes like that, where sometimes things aren't actually real and it's just like the vocal minority just memeing it out.
And we're sometimes just in a bubble, right? Like we talk about all the time in movies or announcements where it's like no one knows that we might be excited or worried for something, but is it just the online people that tune into the state of plays or the E3, Summer Game, that type of stuff? Is it like, okay, is it just those people? But no, I think it definitely has that. Do you have, other than I have the answer, I think, what do you think is the most anticipated game now that Hollow Knight's out after GTA?
After GTA.
Yeah, GTA is still going to be there till it's out.
After GTA. I mean, it's got to be Elder Scrolls 6, right?
I guess. I feel like the reason I wouldn't put it there is because we've seen so little. I feel like people haven't started that hype cycle yet.
That's fair, but it was announced like 7 years ago.
It was, it's like, yeah. And I know I'm biased, but I feel like this is the one I keep hearing all the time when we've seen this. Summer Games Fest, State of Play, Gamescom. I feel like it's Wolverine. I feel like Wolverine because it had that teaser. Now, similar to Elder Scrolls, that we only had the teaser, but because that leak, and plus, it's just a bit more. I feel like when we saw that game, we thought that's closer than when we saw Elder Scrolls. So I feel like, and especially because there's rumors from like good scoopers that we're supposed to be getting some maybe beginning of next month, early end this month. So
maybe a State of Play. Either it's part of, or like a State of Play. I would doubt a State of Play for it if it's not coming out till next year. But yeah, I've been seeing those rumors too, which is exciting that finally, and the timing feels right, I would say.
Yeah, but I feel like that is the crown right now after GT. I just feel like all the time I hear that, and it's gone to the point where people are, I think, kind of frothing. They're kind of like, hey, when is this? Like, I think if we got more than just the teaser, because the leak, maybe some people looked, maybe some people didn't, but yeah, I think that would be next. Nothing can replace GTA, but yeah, Elder Scrolls, that's probably a good one. I think if we get a more substantial trailer or update, then that definitely takes over the conversation. So,
which I feel like not next year somehow still is maybe not quite the year, because there's just a new tease for Starfield DLC where it's called like Project
Really?
Armada or something. So that's gonna be like the second DLC that they've talked about, but now they
Armada.
confirmed the name of it. So I'm guessing we're actually gonna see something about that game or about that DLC soon. And so I wonder what that means. No, at this point, I'm sure it's like different teams that are making Elder Scrolls in that. But I don't know. Maybe they even just put out like a nothing trailer, like not a nothing trailer, but like a CGI trailer.
They already did
where
a
they confirm,
nothing
like,
trailer.
yes, but that was more of an announcement because it didn't
It
have
was,
literally
but-
anything. Like it doesn't even tell you the province, which is like for an Elder Scrolls game like the most basic thing you can say. Like people like are guessing it's Hammerfell, but like we don't know that for sure. So I feel like that would maybe be the next thing, a CGI trailer where they confirm the province, and I don't know, maybe. I don't know that. I feel like that's not really Todd's way though. He likes to go big when he does these showcases, but I just wonder how those announcements change now that they're under Xbox. Like we haven't really seen that yet. I guess we kind of saw it with Starfield, but that announcement cycle like already started before that acquisition. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens. Hopefully next summer we can be talking about Elder Scrolls.
2018 was that first teaser, which is pretty
Insane
crazy.
behavior. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely crazy. But let's get into talking about some of the games we've been playing. Get to Silksong pretty soon here. I just want to have one other shout out here, and this was like a few weeks ago now, but I haven't had you on a one-on-one Sidequest episode. But I platinumed Death Stranding 2
Oh,
on
congrats!
the
That's
beach.
cool.
I think it took me like 100 hours or something, and honestly,
Yeah.
the last like 10 or maybe even 20 hours of that, a lot of grinding, not necessarily the
Yeah.
most enjoyable, but it was still crazy that like even that deep into the game, I was still unlocking like new equipment and tools and things I hadn't seen before. Like, man, I would have loved to have this 30 hours ago. This thing's like pretty useful. Overall, I obviously I platinumed, so I was having a grand old time with it. It was a fun game to go through in that way. I do think that like some of the late game stuff and doing the platinum, I wouldn't really recommend. There was a couple unique quests that you get like right near the end of like certain quest lines and stuff, and some of them were pretty unique. Like one of them I'll soft spoil here for a certain prepper is you have to literally in like a 40-minute time frame go through and kill every enemy encampment on the map, like in the same spree essentially in like a 40-minute
really?
thing. And that was like a fun challenge to like, okay, how am I going to speed run this? What's my plan here? And so there was some cool unique quests and like other boss fights and things that popped up, and so I enjoyed some of those, but like I wouldn't really recommend it. I honestly just it was kind of a turn off the brain and just kind of go through, do over some packages game for me. And so for that, it was fun, but that's done. But one funny little anecdote I have from that is, have you seen in Death Stranding 2 the ghost monorail in the sky at all? It's literally just like a train, a sky train.
No,
not
I think I've heard about this, but I haven't
Yeah,
seen
it's not
it.
like on a track or anything, but it just flies through the sky in like a creepy kind of like Disney sort of way or something. But anyway, I saw that a couple times in my 100 hours of Death Stranding. And then like maybe a week or two after I got the platinum, I was going for a walk and I saw what looked like identical to that into the sky, and I was like, what the fuck am I seeing? Like this is real life, and I just saw like a ghost monorail, and I was like freaking out this whole walk. I didn't have my phone with me, so I couldn't like Google it or anything. And then I finally got home like a half an hour later, Googled it, and it turns out that's just what the Starlink satellite looks like. I don't know if you've ever seen the Starlink satellite in real life, but it looks like a freaking ghost monorail flying through the sky. And it was like I was like, that's not a meteor. That looks man-made. So that was really tripping me out. The timing of that was pretty funny.
That's funny.
Yeah. And then, so another game I have been playing that I think I'll share more when I've actually beat the game, but I told you this, that I've been playing Metal Gear Solid, not 2, 3, Snake Eater. And one thing I wanted to bring up that I thought was really interesting was in that game, Paramedic is a character who you, on your codec, you call if you want to save the game. And every time you call her, she tells you about some movie. She's like, hey, have you seen James Bond? Have you seen Godzilla? And then it's pretty much just like Kojima's way to mouthpiece, like telling you why he thinks this movie is cool. Like it's very goofy. But I was shocked when one of the movies he asked me about is he was like, hey, or she, I guess, because it's a character of Paramedic. She was like, hey, have you seen the movie On the Beach? And I was like, what the hell? I've never heard of this movie before. And now, like, this is, I'm not playing the new version of the game, so it's not like this is a new reference put in there. Have you ever heard of the movie On the Beach? It's like from the 50s or something like that?
No, you asked me about this when we were talking about Helldivers. I've not. I think I had just heard of it because that had been going around a while, that On the Beach, like the movie thing. So it's funny.
Okay.
I think you brought it up like 2 days after I saw it trending on my, because it's in the remake as well. It's in the so because that whole character and stuff. So, but no, I've never seen this movie. That's my biggest weak spot is, and I'm not one of those people like, oh, because it's black and white. I just got to go back. I have a lot of stuff I want to start crossing off in those type of eras that I've heard about. I think I've heard about that, watch like Citizen Kane and stuff like that, but some other deeper cut ones. So, but no, that's like a weird 20, 30-year Easter egg that you found there.
And even on top of that, like, because I haven't heard the movie or anything, but just like Googling it, like it's a story about like a fictional like World War III like world-ending situation. So in that way, it kind of mirrors a lot of Death Stranding stuff.
Yeah.
And the setting of it is that like the whole world has been destroyed, and the last like city on Earth is in Australia. So it's like even that
Really?
Australia connection is part of Death Stranding.
There's definitely. Okay, yeah, if he's been in, there's definitely
it's
that
just crazy to me
in
that,
one way or another.
Yeah, he's been like cooking on some of those ideas, and I just wonder how much of it was like, I wonder if he, since Metal Gear Solid 3 has been thinking about these ideas, it turned into Metal Gear Solid, and he was like, okay, the first game, thinking about Death Stranding, and the first game's not in Australia, but for the second one, I'm going to go on the beach, and I'm going to do this connection. Or if he made Death Stranding 1, and then like watched on the beach again, and was like, wow, I kind of just ripped off on the beach. Let's go to Australia now for like the fun connection. So I hope that gets asked in an interview at some point. I would be fascinated to learn like the sequence of those events, but I don't know how many movies Paramedic asks you about. She's already asked me about like at least 10. So I feel like there's a lot in there, but I feel like if you're going to pick a few, James Bond, Godzilla, those make sense, but like on the beach feels like kind of a deep cut. So interesting little point of connection there. But like I said, when I'm deeper in Metal Gear Solid 3, I will probably share it on Sidequest again, but I kind of want to wait for that one to fully cook through before I kind of go in on my thoughts on that one. So yeah, let me start off with Hollow Knight Silksong here. So obviously this is extremely anticipated, as we kind of already talked about there, and for me it's kind of been in a kind of weird pocket. Like I played the first Hollow Knight when it came out, and I never beat it. Maybe got like halfway through or something. I don't really know. And I think it was one of those cases, and this happens so much for me with Metroidvanias, where I was playing it and then like put it down for like a week or something. Maybe I was busy. Maybe I was playing something else. Can't remember. And then I booted up Hollow Knight again. I was like, fuck, I have no idea where I am. No idea where I was supposed to be going. What my next objective was. And I'm sure I could have powered through that. But I feel like with this genre, it's like, no, this is the one game you're going to be playing until you beat it, or else, my brain just can't handle that stuff. Especially when I play multiple games, I can't contain all that information. And so I think that's maybe why I fell off of Hollow Knight and didn't come back to it. So if I repeat anything here that's like actually in the first game, but I think is new to this one, give me a break, because I never actually finished that game. And then I also kind of feel like that is a bit of my story with Metroidvanias, where I've beat a lot of Metroid games. Castlevania, it's hard for me to like beat it, because like I'll just get stuck at some point. I'm like, I have no idea what I'm supposed to be doing. And so many of these other indie ones I just like play a bit of and like kind of fall off at some point. But so far my journey with this game, the new one here, Silksong, is that kind of had a bit of a slow start, which I feel like a lot of games in the genre do, because your character's super weak, you don't have a lot of powers, so your moveset isn't like super fun at that point. And usually in these games, like the opening sections are a lot more linear. It's like you're getting through this opening section, it's kind of the soft tutorial. You're going to get your first couple powers, and then things kind of open up a little bit more. But then even then, it's like, okay, this is the next place you have to go to. This is the next place after that, and then after that. And I feel like I was enjoying this game enough, but like kind of had a bit of those early frustrations. And like, I think the thing that I forgot about with the first Hollow Knight is that like, oh yeah, this is a Metroidvania, but it's also like half and half that with a Souls-like game. Like it very much follows that same formula, that same style of combat, the same thing where if you die, you drop all your currency on the ground, then you have to like run back there to get it, and then if you die again, you'll just lose it forever. You can only kind of save at these set bonfires in this game. It's benches. And so I was kind of remembering some of that stuff, and some of the annoying things too with any Souls game is like, sometimes, as you know now, Travis, because you've played a lot of Elden Ring, is like sometimes that boss is so far from the nearest freaking bonfire, and you just have to like truck for like 5 minutes or something to get back to the boss fight just to fight them again, and that can be really annoying. And sometimes there's like hard enemies on the way there, so you die again, and then you get like even more frustrated, and it just compounds. And early on in this game, I was experiencing a lot of that. There was a couple of these boss runs from the bench to the boss that was like kind of frustrating, and then one of the bosses, it's like a bug with wings, and the hitbox on the wings was like so janky, and I was getting a lot of that Souls frustration. I was like, fuck this game, I hate this game, I'm gonna finish this game. But then, as I continued to play more and more, I think I kind of worked out some of those frustrations, got better at the game, that helps too, got more familiar with it, and now I'm really, really enjoying it, and now I'm absolutely hooked. And I've played like maybe 12, 13 hours of it over the weekend here, and I've discovered like 12 or 13 different like named zones and stuff. Like I feel like there's so much to it, and I already have multiple places I can go to now. And I think that's one of the things that I like about it the most as far as Metroidvanias go, is like this one does not feel super linear in the way other ones do, where it feels like multiple of these zones I could have discovered in multiple areas, and some of them I have, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to come back to this after I've complete this other area first. And then I just went through this area in the last couple hours here. I'm like, oh, I was definitely supposed to do this earlier. This was super easy, but that's also kind of a fun thing to discover.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, now
feel
I
like
can
a boss.
breathe.
You're like, oh,
Yeah, I can like breathe a little bit, so it's kind of like a bit of a break. But it's like, oh yeah, I see how I could have got there earlier, and I did discover the entrance to it, but I didn't have the key yet that I could have grinded for. So all this kind of fun stuff, and yeah, so I'm really enjoying it. The structure of it is great. I feel like they just, have been cooking on this game for like 8 years or whatever it is, 7 years or something, and it really shows. Like the design of it, the openness to it is really satisfying for me, and I'm just setting all my markers down of things I have to come back to, making my notes. This game's also I feel like a lot more open in terms of giving you side quests. So not only are you just going through these areas and you already have just player-driven goals, but you also have side quests that are like maybe collecting certain things or finding certain things. So it gives you like bonus objectives. Another thing that's surprising me so much is that there's multiple like events that make the world feel very real. Like you'll go back to a town that you've been to before, and then like a boss just comes through and like kills some of them and destroys like the things that you've built, and it's like, shit, now I have to fight this boss and like rebuild this place. But it just makes it so that like there's characters that are talking in a way that makes the world feel immersive and real, even though it's like weird bugs and a weird underground situation. But then events like that of like maybe characters move from place to place, or bosses will show up where they weren't before, or you'll get one time I got kidnapped and taken to a completely different part of the map that was so far from anywhere else I've been before. And I was like, man, I am just completely out in the dark here. I lost all my abilities getting in. There's like many moments like this that keep surprising me. So even in like you get in like your cycles, but then something will throw you off in like the best kind of way possible. So yeah, I'm loving this game. And it's funny, since this game didn't have early reviews, there aren't a lot of reviews out there yet. I think people are starting to get them out there now that they've beat the game over the weekend. These poor journalists who are like forced to like, hey, just work for like 40 hours over the weekend and then come in with your review on Monday kind of thing. I'm sure it's a pretty rough situation to be in, but a lot of people have been excited for this game. And then, man, I just got to highlight too, like obviously I mentioned like the Souls-like elements, but the visuals in this game are fantastic. I feel like once again, just having so much more time to cook, probably being just better at art like the team is, because it's the same team from the first game. The worlds are so layered, and also I feel like I played the first game on Switch 1, and now I'm playing this on like Series X with like, it's like 4K on a big TV, but like the layers to it is, it's just gorgeous. And the music, man, the music is amazing. It feels like Lord of the Rings type music, so you're mixing that with like the dark, brooding, Dark Soulsy kind of world, the weird bug nature of it, all these layers, areas that are both beautiful but also terrifying. The sound effects of like the characters and NPCs in the world are like these weird, creepy, like ooh, like just like wallowing and dying and crying. But also it could be super freaky at times. It's got it all in terms of like the atmosphere element of it. So yeah, I feel like I slow start to this game, but it's building up. And now that I'm like, feels like firmly in the middle of it, or maybe even approaching the end, 75%. I really have no idea, honestly. I feel like I'm maybe halfway through if I had to guess. It just keeps getting better and better. And right now, I'm like, even right now in this moment, I'm feasting with like, okay, I have like 3 areas to go to. And I'm so excited to go to each one and get a little bit further and keep pushing a little bit further. And I finally like got a lot of the upgrades I want, and I still have somewhere to buy, but like, I'll get those in time. I got the main ones, so it's working really well for me right now. And like I said, I'm going to plow through it so that I don't get that classic Metroidvania thing, or the thing I got with the first game where I just get lost, forget what I was doing.
Yeah.
So I'm planning like, September, not a lot coming out this month, so I'm going to have the time to finish this. And I don't know if I'll do like 100% completion and all that kind of stuff. And I know the first game had like crazy boss rushes and all these other modes. Don't know if I'll do all that angle to it, but even right now, this game is a total delight. And I think the other thing I was on the fence with it is like, I don't know what they're going to charge for this game. The first game was like $15, but with all this hype, they could charge like $80 and people would buy it. I don't know if I would buy it, but then I forgot that it was like, oh yeah, this is a day one Game Pass game, so I just like picked it up on Game Pass and been playing it there. Or it's just $20, or I don't know, 25, maybe 30 in Canadian. I don't know what it would translate to, but yeah, that was a nice surprise as well. So I'm curious if you have any interest in this, because obviously the hype level of it, I feel like Elden Ring, that was not your cup of tea, but now it is your cup of tea, and this feels similar in a lot of ways. And once again, it has the Game Pass angle, so you can just kind of play it with your subscription that I think you're still on. So do you have any interest in checking out Silksong?
Yes, but kind of down the line. The artwork has always kind of intrigued me. I think it's a very pretty looking game, and I feel like a lot of those games that are the Souls, Elden Ring, they have that very similar aesthetic. Sure. There's definitely more variety now, but I feel like, especially when that genre started, very grimy, medieval, lots of either hard blues and blacks or like dark gray and greens, or more like brown and green, I guess.
A
So
lot of fire and like
yeah.
fingers and like
big
grime.
guys with spikes and ugly.
big
Yeah,
doors,
so no, at some point, like I said, I still want to, because I've still never done the Elden Ring DLC, and like you said, I think that was my problem the last time when I did a big stretch and was loving it, took a break, and when I got back into Elden Ring, it was just like I'm not ready for this right now. I just didn't feel.
You got to
like,
keep the momentum for sure.
Yeah, because I just felt like the same thing. I was looking around, I'm like, I have nothing to do. Like I have stuff to do, but it's like I feel like I'm not that level, and then I have really nothing else to do. So probably not for a while. I think it's gonna go on my kind of like, I have a on the list like a games, a slot in list, and that's like that'd be like the Claire, what is it, Claire Odyssey, or what the hell is the
Claire
game?
Obscure.
There you go. It was close enough. And then like Baldur's Gate. There's a couple games in there that are like, okay, if when I try to map out my year for gaming, if I have an empty slot, I'll put one of those in there, and that's kind of just like a vibes, like what I want to go with. So as right now, no, because if I wasn't getting Ghosts, then maybe I would, but because
that up, right?
yeah, because of Legends. Are you picking that up because of Legends, or are you gonna be waiting?
I might wait. I like maybe there'll be a sale. I don't know, but I just honestly, there's so many things coming out in October, and I'm okay. I think I'm okay. But
then
maybe when Legends come out, I might be persuaded.
Okay, I might still wait then too, because Ghost isn't out, or Legends isn't out till 2026, right? I think they said.
Yes, which I imagine it's early if the game's coming out in October, because I think
should.
Because wasn't it like 3 or 4 months after Tsushima is when Legends dropped the first time?
I thought a little longer, so I'd say 4
Okay.
months sounds about right, at least.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see about that. I think Kirkland's still planning on picking it up, but you never know with Kirkland. He's
Well, he also has that trip to Japan, so I feel like everything right now is like a bit of like maybe not. So we'll see, but definitely when Legends is live, I'd like to. So, and I'll wait if it reviews very, very good. I have it in my slot right now, but I haven't been like dying from what I've seen of the games. Legends, I know that I'm gonna be really into, have a good time, and when I get it, but at the same time, as we'll talk about after, but 2026 is getting really stacked up right now, so I feel like they should get that out very early. So we'll see. But yeah, right now my plan is I am very close to finishing Donkey Kong. I have been like sometimes taking my time with it. Like there was times where I was not mainline streamed. I do just love running around and breaking stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I'm still having like a really fun time with it. So but next after that is just dabbling more Death Stranding, maybe a bit more of Indiana Jones, and then I'm gonna, because we got September, Alan Wake is in October. So
Right,
whenever I beat Donkey Kong, it's just gonna be kind of just piddling around some other games while I'm kind of buying some time. And I like, again too, if you were to ask me, like if I had to choose between playing Ghost and Alan Wake 2, right now I'm way more interested in playing Alan Wake 2 because that's been on the backlog for a while. So yeah, maybe I'll be waiting then. So
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I don't know what else I have to say about Silksong right now. I'm thoroughly enjoying the game, really, really hooked on it right now, and hopefully that sticks all the way through. There's definitely been their fair share of like some frustrating bosses that have sometimes made me saltier than, sometimes a boss fight, it's super hard, it's salt-inducing, but when you beat it, you feel like a god, and sometimes you don't, and it sucks when you don't, because then it's like, fuck, I just 2 hours of my life where I was miserable.
Yeah,
and so far there's only been
do
like
this
2
again.
or 3 of those that made me, fuck, I hate this is annoying. Or this
Yeah.
boss had a stupid move I didn't like to tell. All these, things that I'm just trying to cope with the situation. But for the most part, I do feel like a god when I finally beat these things. And yeah, there's a ton of mechanics in this game. Some things that are even kind of overwhelming for me right now. But yeah, I'm thrilled. I honestly didn't think this game would resonate with me a whole lot. After the first one being kind of like a meh experience for me, or solid experience, but not one I needed to see through. And sometimes I feel like this can happen. Like I for some reason compared this a little bit to like Hades in my mind, where that game it came out the same day as Spelunky, so I wasn't out playing that game at all. But finally played it a few months later after all the hype, and just like wasn't really for me. And now I don't really care much for Hades 2, and it's too bad because I like to support those big indie games. But sometimes I'm just not there with like the general public on some of these indie games, and so I feel good that I feel like people are probably gonna be in love with Silksong. I haven't really seen any impressions at all, so I don't know what people are thinking about it, especially like the diehard fans of the first one. But I'm glad that I can call myself a Hollow Knight fan now. Hopefully that sticks through till the end of this game, because it's really great so far. So there you go. Any questions about Silksong, or does that kind of cover it, you think?
The only thing I was curious is why. I know it was like they announced release date, then it came out. Why was there not like any things for critics and stuff like that? Like, why is it such only few reviews out there? Was there any reason said for that? Because I think it's reviewed pretty well too, right? So
I think it is. Yeah, I don't think they were scared of reviews or anything. I think it was their reason that they described was that this game was a Kickstarter game, so it was like supported. You know, people like crowdfunded it essentially to make it happen, and they said that they wanted everyone who crowdfunded the game to have access to the game same day as everyone else. So they wanted everyone to be on equal footing there. They didn't feel like it would be right for people to crowdfund the game and then for like reviewers to play it before the people that like paid for this game to exist in the first place. That was their reasoning. Whether or not you think that's a good reason or not, that's up to you. But that was the reason they did that. But yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see if other games follow, because I know like obviously Bethesda a few years ago was like, we're not sending out review codes anymore, or like we do, but like it's the same day as the game comes out, and that's maybe worked for them, maybe they hasn't in certain cases. But I'm curious what this would mean for like other indie games if they're like, hey, maybe we actually don't need to do that early and it's fine to send the game out to everyone at the same time. So I don't know. We'll see. I like it to some extent because I listen to like certain video game podcasts and I don't want to have to like skip episodes. If it's like, oh, they're playing this game that I'm not gonna be playing for like a week or two. Like I don't know, I might just forget about this episode all around kind of thing. So I think it's kind of nice to have everyone thrown in the same day, especially for a game like this that's so much about discovery and sharing your experiences and stuff like that. And maybe not about like, I don't know, brainstorming on like solutions to things because everyone wants their own individual experience with it. But yeah, we'll see if anyone else does this kind of thing. Nice. There you go. There's Silksong. I'll report back on that. I don't know. I don't think I don't think I have too much longer. So probably whenever I beat the game, I'll bring it up again. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me. I have another game that I think I'll share with Kirkland because it's a very Kirkland-coded game, so I'll save that for next week. But yeah, Travis, what have you been rocking the last few weeks here?
Yeah, so as I said, still working away on Donkon. I've, according to YouTube, got an hour of the actual main campaign to go. I think it's less, somewhere more than that, but I'm excited for that. Obviously, Helldivers. I know you and Taylor talked about that a little bit. I played more with Taylor before he left for his trip after Downcast. That's when they dropped that DLC of the like, it's like the bug world or there's dragons and stuff like that. I'm not sure if you've seen any of this, but
I saw some trailers for that, but I haven't actually played those levels yet.
Yeah, we'll have to do that soon. So it's tough. It's definitely ones I feel like is for people that have had the game since February and are prepared and they've done everything or just waiting for more, especially because Taylor was like, oh yeah, I'm only a couple. When I was playing with him last, he was like level 16, and then he said he played with you one night, and then he's like, yeah, I played like a couple more hours, and he was like 23. So I'm like, I think you played more than a couple hours, my friend. So he's like on the hardest difficulty. So of course he takes me there, and then he takes me to this like DLC planet now, and just brutal. It got to the point where like these bugs, they just don't not stop spawning. They just keep spawning. But no, I think it's a really fun game. I'm glad I waited because I've played it a couple times by myself, and it's fine if you're kind of grinding to get some XP because I got one of the war bonds there and that was fun. But it's definitely a game you need like at least 3 people. Like 2 people is fun, but I feel like
I don't think I have any interest in playing solo at all.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where it's like when you have the squad together, it's a really good time. So, I've still been enjoying it. I'm excited to get back in there. I think it's been fun to have an online game that we're playing together because whether it was Mario Kart or I guess COD is like that, but that's still like it's you versus a bunch of people. I think people talk about this aspect of Helldivers, which is fun. That is just you versus a bunch of NPCs and obviously the difficulty levels. But no, it's a good time. I there is some great cinematic stuff there, so I'm excited to get back into there. And I'm trying to think of anything, but yeah, this DLC planet I'll just say update planet is just brutal. Like I said, the dragons are the worst. There's dragonfly through the sky, and if they hit you, because the problem is it's like some slime fire, so. I think it is just fire, but it looks green and slimy. When it hits you, it has like a hit impact, but then you're also burning. It's one of those things. If you don't hit a stim right away, you're a goner. If you don't have a stim, you're a goner. It's just like insta death. So yeah, I'll be curious to see. I'm hoping the next time we play, maybe because if we haven't played with you in Kirkland, then maybe we would do that once. But I'm excited not to go back to that planet or go back to that planet when I have more gear or Taylor wants to lower the difficulty.
I haven't even done like because there's like robot enemies, right? As like another planet.
Me either, actually. I haven't done that either. Yeah.
So we have to. I feel like we need to check that out before we fight these dragons. But
I agree.
I've only played that one more night with Taylor where we did like 2 or 3 matches, and it's funny because like on that episode last week when I was talking with Taylor, I was like, Yeah, like I'm liking the game, but it's not really what I was expecting. I was expecting there to be a lot more bugs everywhere, and I feel like there's a lot of time where you're just running from place to place and there's not much happening. But then I played on Taylor's higher difficulty, and I was like, holy
Yes.
fuck, this game is now it's what I thought it was, and yeah, it's insane, and it's so hard in like a best way possible where it feels like you can never breathe at all. So it's like extremely high octane. So yeah, that's been really fun, and I'm excited to play more. But like I said, I just don't really have the drive to play solo. So for me, it'll be waiting for you guys to play some more of that. But yeah, like holy shit, that was like an insane level up. And one game, Taylor like had to disconnect for whatever reason, and so I was like left with some other people, and so there was like no communication going on, and it was like an hour-long battle. It was arduous. We ended up losing, but then like somehow I got more XP than the game before we played, where we had won. So I don't know what was going on there, and I was like not too salty about losing, but man, it was crazy. And the amount of pressure I felt when I was the last one alive, and I'm like a total noob, and there was like a guy who's like a level 100 in my lobby. Just I can tell he's watching every one of my moves, just critiquing me, even though he's not saying on the mic. I don't know if he was trying to and I had muted or whatnot, but yeah, I felt like a lot of pressure. But yeah, it's a really cool game. And I started to unlock a lot more and understand the actual RPG mechanics, and so I'm getting more variety in things now. So it's been a good time with that one.
No, it's interesting because that never felt. I think like when we played, there's definitely like some close calls and everything, but it still always felt like most of these were doable. Like you might have a couple peaks and valleys. You might have this hard mission, but I never felt like when we were playing that first time, I was at any risk that we were gonna really lose. It felt pretty safe. But now when you get, I think it's around like 7 to 8 is when it really starts to uptick, and then 10 is just, it's just ridiculous. Like I said, I'm not built for that. Because it gets to the point where it is just like, it is still fun, but it's not fun in the sense there's just hundreds everywhere, always coming. But yeah, no, I'm excited to get more back from that at some point. I know the next couple weekends suck because I'm away and then Kirkland's away. So, but at some point we'll have to link up here and play some, because I've really enjoyed what it has been so far, and I hope there's kind of some, I don't know, more fun gear and stuff like that added. I would like, because like obviously the Halo one did nothing for me, so I would like to have especially in this game when it's third person, I would like to have that going. But no, it's been a really good time. So
as a big Halo fan, the Halo stuff that's in there and I haven't locked all of it's like a little underwhelming.
I thought so too. I'm not even a Halo fan. I was like, that's kind of it.
The first crossover that they do.
Yes.
It's like, that's it.
Yeah, why don't you just, like, I don't know, just show the whole armor. Like, you can animate it, but no, kind of matches. All I heard was, because I know Kirkland had it, and then other people, I've just seen that, whether it's in GUA or Discord, have talked about how fun it is, and it lived up to that. It's a very fun game. But like I said, it's a fun game you need people with. It's very similar to, like, same thing. You can play like a Friday the 13th or when we did Texas Chainsaw. You can play that separately, but those games are always way better when at least you got 3 of you and being a group. And especially just like dynamics too. I feel like that's the way, because me and Taylor have done that too, probably like you guys, where it's like you get partnered with 2 other people, but you don't have the mics. For the most time, you're doing the same thing, but you can't if you need to switch strategies or feel like, let's just get out of here. Because sometimes it is just best, like, you know what, let's just extract. These side things aren't even worth it. We're going to die. But the other people might not be doing that. You don't want to screw them over by extracting their far. So that's where at least it's good if you got the majority of people and you feel like you can make that choice there. So.
That was all the game. Did you have another game?
No, and then so Lego. We talked about this weeks ago with that Lego sale. So I got I think I bought every single game on there, because even with the Marvel ones, I own the 2 Marvel ones, but Emily's like. And I could have tested it out because I think they would transfer over. I know one's disc, but I think the other one is just a digital, the Marvel Heroes for 1 and 2 on the PS4. I think they would have played on the PS5, but I think she was just like, is it worth like setting that up, reteaching my controls, or just spending the $8 in both games? I was like, oh, I don't know, we'll see. And I was like, you know what, I'll just rebuy the games, because they're used. And not that, don't get me wrong, I want them to eventually play like PlayStation, Xbox, get used to that. But right now in the early years of the game, it's like, just stick with this. Like for the first time, which is funny. So we got everything. We got the DC supervillains, which is pretty much what you'd expect if you played the Marvel ones. It's like that, but with DC supervillains. So that's been fun. The only thing that was strange is there's lots of licensed music in it, like the menus, like Joker and the Thief, and there's like another song in there. Yeah, I don't know.
I can't recall that for like other Lego games. That seems like a weird one-off.
So I understood when we boot up the menu and it's Joker and the Thief. So I'm like, okay, it's Joker. He's like the main manager. Like, I get that. But then there was another one. It was like some sort of pop song. So I was surprised by that. That game, the only thing that's like the disappointment, and it's funny because I'll talk about Lego City, the driving's better. For some reason, the driving in that game is really hard to handle. Because I was sitting back and I was watching Gwen and Logan play it. For people that don't know, that's my 8 and 6-year-old now. They're playing it, and I see Gwen driving, and I'm like, oh, it's just what, kid playing game, doesn't know what you're doing. I got in that car, I was like, oh my god, like I don't know how they expect a kid.
I remember the driving being savage in Lego Incredibles, so maybe they just don't have the driving down.
Okay, maybe it felt like, but then when I played Lego City, it wasn't half bad, which I'll get to. Okay. But yeah, so that was fun. And then so I bought Star Wars, the 2 Marvel ones. We had already bought the Harry Potter ones, so they're working their way. They 100%ed Lego 1 to 4.
Sick.
Yeah, nice. So they're going on to 5 at some point. And then we haven't done Marvel yet because I'm like, let's wait. And then we did get Star Wars, so we'll get there. But we got Lego City because if I can't remember. Oh, we were doing a newscast. Remember we were talking about Lego Batman, and S Bubs had brought up Lego City, and I kind of completely forgot about that game. And somehow that game is on the Switch because there's tons of games that are Lego games, but they're not on the Switch or this generation, right? But I remember having a fun time with it when I was young, and so I got that. And we've been playing that one the most. We had a rule too. I was like, oh, when you guys play and I'm not around, play like Harry Potter, some I played before. I did the gimmick on Sunday, walk out, playing Lego City. Just betrayed me. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, oh, we didn't remember. Logan remembered. Logan remembered. So, but it didn't matter. It's like, okay, it's fine. So I'm like, I'll start my own save file. But so I don't know why I forgot this because I know SPubs had said that, and I remembered it as like GTA Lego. But I always thought when I played that Marvel superhero game, like, oh, that's the first like real big open world one. But Lego City is completely that. It's a full big world. And it's actually quite a big map. Like I can't remember when Lego City.
Is the map like a New York type, or is it like some crazy thing with a bunch of different biomes? Like what's going on?
No, it's definitely like a New York type. I would say like almost like a like a Vice City in a sense because it's so funny. The loading screens are the exact way when you boot up the game. It does like a Lego like Empire State Building like stuff. It shows you the same way GTA would with those loading screens, which are just like. Sure. Like stylized images. That's what the Lego City games loading screen is as well. So I was like, okay, that's tons of fun. And all of it's there. Let me see. Lego City came out, when was it? 2013. Like it feels like a way more current, like closer to 2020 game than it does 2013. But so yeah, we got that, and that's been tons of fun. And it's been fun to see the differences as far as in that game, instead of switching characters when you go to like a little booth or you speed through them, they give you like a wheel, and then you can go to this, I guess, some sort of system. I don't know. It's just like a machine, and the icon's a bunch of rainbows, and you like a loadout, like this. Like think about your Spider-Man wheel, like your gadgets, how you could switch what you want. You can switch the characters or disguises you want. You can do the same thing with vehicles. So it's this weird like kind of wheel thing, which I haven't seen in a Lego game before. So that was interesting. And like I said, the amount of places to go, I think there's only like 15 missions, but the map is probably because I was going to say younger, but 2013, like that was 2 years after graduation. So I feel like I must have just fiddled with it a little bit. But when we got to the main map, it said like, 450 golden bricks. I was surprised. Nice, yeah. So no, it's fun where it's just, you're playing this cop who, well, I guess he's like a PI now. He used to be a cop, and now he's back in town. And they have all like the noir like narration. He's a love like an old flame and everything like that. But what was interesting, which I haven't seen this because even when like the Lego Harry Potter games, I think that those came out before this. What I'm getting to is, so when I booted this game up, it's not like Bonanza where, oh, I don't have some of the buttons. You have all the buttons, but for some reason, when you play the game, you can't play with the 2 Joy-Cons. You have to play with 2, like a full controller of the Joy-Cons together. Yeah.
Huh.
Because for some, there's one, it's like Bonanza where there's the buttons that you have to hit, but obviously Bonanza, I still never use the map, and that's fine. It's not game breaking yet. But with Lego, it's literally like to start this game up, you have to hit this button. So luckily that's the other thing too. This is the girls' first experience when I'm not playing, their first experience playing with the GameCube controller, because before it's just been Joy-Cons and everything. So they've been using that. But yeah, so we have to have one with the 2 Joy-Cons and then the GameCube controller. So a lot more charging going on in the house, but I did discover that the PS5 is the same charging cord as the GameCube, so that helps me out quite a bit. So
right, USB-C, I think, for everything now, pretty much.
yeah.
Right?
Okay. So that's good to know. So I honestly, Dylan, I've lost track of all the different connections and this and that and the switching. Like I have no idea. I'm just thankful that's the same, and I'm thankful my Xbox and PlayStation have the same power adapter. But no, this one has been like Lego City's been really fun. Like it's a standout one. So I feel like I don't know if I played. I definitely played this, but I feel like I played something else that was like a lesser version of this when I was younger, like something like Lego, and maybe there was, but I don't know because I don't remember it being this vast. But no, it's been tons of fun. So yeah, I think we're gonna play through that and then Harry Potter, and then I'm not sure what they haven't asked about the Marvel one, so we'll probably go that route. But yeah, Lego City has been kind of surprisingly really fun because yeah, it is just. And it's like a fun kind of scratching the itch because also we've got GTA on the horizon, and there's just lots of fun stuff in here. And yeah, the driving was fine in this game, you know, and this was before the DC superheroes or the Incredibles. So, but yeah, so I swapped and picked up all those Lego games, so the girls will be set for a little while. So,
I did something a little less frantic as that, where I just picked up Marvel Superheroes 2 on the Switch, even though I already own it on Steam. But I picked it up on Switch because I was really craving some of that after we had that Lego discussion. And yeah, that's been a good time because I think I got further than where I did it on Steam. I did not get very far when I was playing on Steam, and now I have the deluxe version too. So I have like all these. There's like 8 or 9 DLC packs that were in there. So I just have access
same
to
with
all
the
these
DC.
characters
Yeah, it's fun
from the get-go, which is great. And yeah, the one level that was like a standout to me early on was, I forget what it's called, but like you go to like an ancient, or like not ancient, but like a medieval castle, and like Black Knight is there, and he's guiding you through his level, and you have to fight Enchantress, and like you get like a medieval captain, or Captain America, which is really fun. And so I forget, he has like a different name, but whatever it is, something like that. But yeah, really, that's been a good time so far. So just a good turn off the brain. The only thing is, like, I was hoping that on Switch 2 it would run pretty well, but it's like, 30 FPS max, but it feels like less than that a lot of the time. Like it doesn't run super well. It's pretty choppy, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's funny, some of the, because I don't know what the Star Wars one that was deluxe, but the DC one was the deluxe. And it's funny, like the time capsules when these games come out, because all the DLC was the CW DC shows that were happening at the time, like Flash, Green Arrow, and stuff. And then was the 2017 Justice League movie, because you got like Batman movie version, Wonder Woman movie version. So it was kind of funny, but and it worked too, because I don't think he was in the base game, but in the CW at the time in Green Arrow, they had the character Mr. Terrific, who's in the Superman movie, which my kids love. So when we got that right away, they were really, they're like, "Oh, Mr. Terrific," which is just so funny. The errors of kids. Like when I grew up, like I won't say I knew nothing about Mr. Terrific, but he was not on a character I would have saw and be like, Mr. Terrific. So it's just funny, the eras of which characters become popular and whatnot. Just they were so hyped to see this character that to me when I was growing up was like a kind of nothing character, because he had like kind of been past his prime for popularity. But yeah, he's back. So no, it's been fun. Obviously a little less playing now because school's back in session, but usually give them some time to play by themselves, and then we do some play sessions and whatnot. And see, I don't think we were talking about games. I don't think there's anything other than Lego Batman next year that we'll be buying that's family wise. I think at some point, because I'd like to try that on the 24-hour stream. I think we planned it the last time. Maybe I'm wrong. The newest Mario Party, or was that not out for the last 24-hour stream?
I can't remember what happened there. I don't think we did play Jamboree, did we?
No, I thought it was on. I thought that was the plan, but as usual, we get lost. But I would like to play that this year because I didn't get to. But so other than that, if we kind of spread out and get one of those, I think that's pretty much it. And like I hinted at last Sidequest, I'm hoping for October. Soon they put on the first Luigi's Mansion because they've been asking. So that might be next. But yeah, pretty much with the family, just going to be just mostly Lego for the next little bit. Gwen's kind of taking a break from the Minecraft, so I think that's maybe Minecraft 2, the hype will be back. But
yeah, as if that'll ever happen.
Yeah.
Sweet. That's great. Let's throw to our quick ad break here, which you could dodge. You could parry it if you had our Patreon. But if you don't, you got to listen to this ad break, so we'll be right back. All right, we are back, and normally I would shout out our patrons before going to the ad break, but I'm going to shout them out now for a specific reason. Thank you to our Patreon producers, Aaron Braden, April of Darkness, Jack Grant, Sam, Superbad Mike, TGGLM69, Jeremy Renner, Charlie Rendell, Cocktail Clay, and John with no H. Shouting them out now because recently in honor of the GB 10 year. We did all sorts of special episodes, and we did a bread and butter episode, which was our top 10 video games of all time, which we first recorded 10 years ago in 2015, but we recorded a new version, updated version. I put a preview of that up on the Sidequest feed, specifically just the Sidequest one, not the regular Geekverse one. If people if you're on the free feeds and want to check out a little bit of that, but then of course if you go to Patreon, you get the full top 10, and that prompted a bunch of our patrons to go over to the Discord and share their top 10s, which I thought was really fun, and I'm glad that people did. And we're gonna should I say review them, critique them, just acknowledge
definitely
them?
review. 1 out of 10, whatever Espo's put in there. 1 out of 10.
And if you want us to review your top 10 and you didn't do it before this episode, do it whenever, and I'll do it next week. I'll keep reviewing your top 10s. I'm happy to. So let's do this. I think this will be fun. I don't know if do you have Discord open on your side?
No, I can get that now because I hate opening on my computer because anytime it's open, I miss notifications all the time on the phone because it goes there. But I will open it now.
Yeah, so the first one was Superbad Mike, who jumped in and said, yeah, love the top 10 games of all time. I think he's trying to say thought I'd share mine, but he wrote thought I'd share Mike, which is, I think, the perfect typo because that's literally his name. So I love that.
Perfect typo. That's what I live by,
So here's Mike's list. Number 10, The Last of Us Part 2. Number 9, Bloodborne. Number 8, Batman Arkham City. Number 7, Claire Obscure Expedition 33. Number 6, Jack 2. Number 5, Assassin's Creed 2. Number 4, Dragon Age Origins. Number 3, Mass Effect 2. Number 2, Kingdom Hearts. And number 1, God of War 2018.
That's
so
big.
Yeah, I think this is a great list. Like, I feel like half these games or more you put on like just a global like, hey, all the fans and all the video game players in the world voted on their favorite games, and this was the aggregate list. I feel like it would look pretty close to this. I feel like there's a lot of just like all-timer kind of games on here. I know one thing you commented on was the inclusion of Last of Us Part 2 over 1 and not having 1 in there.
Yeah, I got his reason because he said it was mostly purely mechanic, which I agree. I think mechanically that game is so much better. Like little things I remember, like Last of Us 2 is when there's this moment where you go to the workbench and you start to work as Ellie, but then you get pulled off by like a NPC like that's gonna fight you and stuff. That was a moment like, whoa, that's super cool. So I completely understood that. Mine was just for story reasons, but I think he also enjoyed that a lot more than me. So that I would say is like a controversial pick if you were to look at that, because I think that's one if you were to poll people would not be, because there's tons of people that dislike that game, right? So that's where I think I got that. But that's the ones that made me realize like I definitely, obviously we're in the same age group, so I feel like most people that are anywhere from like mid-20s to mid-30s, I feel like a lot of people, and Dylan's one that isn't, so he can be on the not the minority or the majority list here, but Assassin's Creed 2 and Batman Arkham City, I feel like I keep always seeing a lot. Those are definitely like two, like if you were a teen young adult in the 2010s, those games just spoke to you on a different level, right? And Assassin's Creed 2, I don't know why. I played the first one and I got it, and I played a little bit of it and I never completed it. So I almost want to go back. I know it probably isn't the same because it's like, yeah, maybe we should try a retro one time and get Taylor on there. But like, I know it probably won't hit us the same because it's one of those things when it's like when we review really old movies and it's like, oh, it has all these tropes. It's like, well, not really. It's just this started those tropes and this has just been done a bunch over, right? And this was the first, so I bet that. But yeah, and him putting Claire there, that got me more excited because you never know. And Mass Effect, that's a tough one too. I didn't have one there, minor spoiler for my list, but that would definitely Mass Effect 2. I agree with that. Would be in my top, like I'll just say 25. Mass Effect, that was a very special time, and I can't say you're wrong with God of War. I don't have that high in my gaming log, but many people have that, and I can. It's one that I can see. Yep, that's a great game. So.
Yeah, I feel like the God of War thing for me is like I'm kind of the opposite of like the Last of Us thing too, where like for me it would definitely be Ragnarok over 2018, just like the evolution of it and like this liking the story a whole lot more. I mean, I didn't actually really like 2018 at all, which is funny how much I love Ragnarok. It kind of was a big turn there.
Also, that he did point out that he's like, oh, I'm not a Nintendo kid, and it is funny if you don't really grow up with a Nintendo. But it is funny. That's where everyone's gaming journey is different, right? Because when I started gaming, my dad sat me down literally with the Super Nintendo. We played the first Mario, and then went to like the SNES version with that, and Yoshi's Island, and everything, and Donkey Kong, and I slowly built up. So it is funny that it's in my mind, and now I'm teaching my kids kind of a similar way. Not as old as those games, but they'll grow with Nintendo. It is funny if you don't have Nintendo, how different in your list like that, like not a single one on there. It's funny to see, because I just think like even all our lists, we all had, I think Kirkland had the least amount, but I feel like you, me, and Taylor had lots of Nintendo on there. So to me, it's just like
big representation.
Yeah, they're like the Disney of gaming, where it's like, oh, they've been around my whole life. Of course they'll be there. But it's like I would love to in the future make that list and exclude Nintendo games and see what my list would be like, because that knocks out like almost half my list. So
yeah, and I mean, for me, I'm like the opposite. Where I wasn't like, I never owned a PlayStation until the PS4 in like the first era, right? So my list would look very different too. But yeah, the other ones on here, Jack 2, I really like to see that on the list, and that's another one that like I've always just kind of lumped in there with like Sly Cooper, Spyro, Crash, but like you know, it is totally its own different thing, and obviously that is Naughty Dog, right? That made like the Jack and Daxter games, and like when I asked about that or commented on that, him and then Kirkland jumped in of like, oh yeah, this is like a GTA like game as well. So talking about Lego City and Undercover, I feel like Jack 2 is kind of not what I expected it to be, so that's definitely one I got to check out. I don't know. I think some of, if not all those games are on like the PS Plus catalog, so maybe I should jump into that series next. But there's just so many of those plays. Once again, as I didn't own a PlayStation growing up, there's so many of those series that I've just missed. But yeah, Kingdom Hearts, cool to see that on there. Obviously, I have the BioWare with number 3 and 4, the Mass Effect and Dragon Age, so that's cool to see. And then yeah, I asked him about Bloodborne. I was like, are you a big Souls guy in general, or was like just Bloodborne stands out? And like he's into these games in general, but like Bloodborne is the one that stands out, which is, I feel like maybe just the prevailing thought, like maybe Elden Ring changes that for a lot of people now, but I think definitely before Elden Ring, I think Bloodborne, a lot of people will say it's like, it is just the best. It's the best Dark Souls game, even though it's not called that.
Even now, I feel like Bloodborne for that, I don't know, I bet for the core audience, because I think a lot of people still love what the new aspects and the grander, almost open world that Elden Ring brought to, but I think if you're just purely there for that run of travel, big boss fight, travel, big boss. Like I feel, and Bloodborne's the one I always hear people want to remaster, people want to follow up, and I think there's something weird with the rights or something weird with the creators that it's been like an issue or something. I don't know, but I feel like I hear people wanting Bloodborne all the time. Yeah. So.
And yeah, Claire Obscure. I'm so curious to see if that sticks 1 year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now on the list, because obviously there's no matter what some recency on that. Like I love that game as well. For me, it wouldn't be top 10er. I need some more time before I put things on my top 100. I gotta like let them stew a bit more. So Claire Obscure I haven't put on there yet, although it's definitely in my top 100 somewhere. So I'm curious where they'll land for me, but definitely not quite top 10. But I love to see that, and that game is fucking phenomenal and definitely worthy of it. So yeah, big. I think a lot of narrative focus with Mike's list. I would say is maybe the one thing. Okay. Next up is Cocktail Clay. He said, I definitely picked a lot of nostalgia here. At number 10, Mario Kart Double Dash. Number 9, Super Smash Bros. Brawl, especially the campaign. Number 8, Star Wars.
He said specifically the campaign. No, so I don't think he's even including the fighting. He's just like, that campaign alone is what puts it in his list. Okay. Which I was not in mine, and never mind spoiled, but like, if we were just to separate that way, absolute, like that could, maybe a top 15 or that Brawl.
I did an episode last year, earlier this year, I forget what it was, of like just ranking all the Super Smash Bros. Single player modes, because there's been so many of them over the years, and yeah, like obviously the subspace from Brawl is like the peak. It's great, and it's too bad that like, because obviously there's so many great cutscenes in there. The CG cutscenes looked great, and that was such a big driving force for it. And now they kind of like that quote unquote budget just goes into making like great CG like character reveals for like the marketing campaign, and it makes sense. And those videos are great, and it's fun to watch those back as well. But it is too bad that almost comes at the cost. Not that you can't do both, but like, you know,
Nintendo could do
every
both.
Game has a budget, you know, and you have to make sacrifices somewhere. And like, I'm sure those animations aren't cheap because they don't make them in house, right? They get like some studio to make them, right? And so I see why they do it, and they have a couple that like make it into the game, but most of them are just like for the YouTube, you know. So we'll see if that ever changes, but I'm gonna say it probably won't.
Maybe this would go in that episode that you've been talking about doing at some point when we have like a slow news thing, but maybe this is some kernel to add into it. Would you, because we always talk about like, man, the next Smash game is going to be really hard. Would you be mad if the next Smash game took a break from the fighting arenas and literally just was a full, like the same type that it's as Brawl, Subspace MC, like the fighting mechanics, everything, but it's like we're gonna make a full-fleshed like story. Would you be salty a little bit, or would you be like, well, you know what, they want to like almost take a break from that method, it's worthy, like, and with that I would love it if people would hate this if they said we're just gonna go with like the original roster and just make original roster but a really fleshed out like fun. I know I guess there's some fun, but and they would never do this. To me, the fun thing would be you don't reveal the other characters until, like, it would spoiler, but they're like, we're not going to say who the other characters are until you play the story. I would stay offline. I would not read reviews. Imagine how hyped that would be. You never know who would like come down. Like, I'd be so down for Subspace, like MC just 2, but that's the full game, you know?
I mean, that is a full podcast right there, just talking about what the next Smash Bros. Is, and we'll do it. Another idea I had, Travis, is I want to do a Smash character draft between all 4 of us.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, which characters are going to make it? You get like 1 point if it's a returning character, but like 3 points if it's like a new character, something. I
feel like that's a 20 roster draft, though. I feel like.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like us picking 20 characters, like there's because 10. I think we were like.
Well, because there's like 90 in the game right now in Ultimate. So we'll definitely do that, and I'm sure we'll also do a separate episode just talking about like what the next Smash will be. And I have my own like personal roster that I would like to see, and I think I might even do that as like a solo episode. So a lot of Smash discussions to be had. I think start doing that after Air Riders comes out, because that's presumably when that team will go back to making the next Smash game. So it'll probably still be a few years away, but yeah, if they did do that, I mean, they definitely won't. I wondered, because like Smash is a series that, like, I guess you could consider it like a spin-off of like Nintendo as a whole, but it is its own series, and it's never had a spin-off before, right? So that's like
what I'm saying.
I would be down to see something like that, like a focus on the single player, focus on like making like an interesting platforming game, because I think it'd be so fun with the moveset you have of Smash, creating like platforming challenges for all the characters that they've kind of sort of had before. Like in the first game they had like the board the platforms, which was like designed for each character, and then like they even had like the target test, but now in like as of Brawl, the target test just became like this homogenized thing. There's like just 5 target things, so like I don't know, there's so much to be played there with like these fun rosters, and like how can you use those in gameplay other than just battling against your friends? And there's so much potential there, but then I understand that that's like those have kind of over time, especially with like online play now just being such a commonplace thing, it just becomes people are going to play that stuff a little bit, but then they're always just going to go back to those battles with their friends, and that's what they're there for at the end of the day. So, like, it makes sense to put most of the focus there. But if they go with the next roster, like, hey, we're removing all third parties, and, like, it's back to just Nintendo. Maybe not necessarily like that original roster, because that is a pretty small roster by, like, any game standards
these
days.
Yeah.
But even if you, like, hey, reboot, and, like, you know what, Captain Falcon, he doesn't make the cut anymore, because, like, he's not a relevant character outside of the fact that, like, he is a Smash Bros. Character. Like, I think there's a lot of potential there for them to do, like, I mean, how do you top Ultimate? You can't do better than
That's
Ultimate.
why I say you pivot for now. I think
you got to go back to basics a bit. You got to strip it away and like
agree,
come up with something fresh and new. But I also don't know if the answer to that is just like, oh yeah, another Subspace, because like we've already actually done that before. Like, what is another new idea they could do?
Yeah,
I don't know right now, but I feel like maybe that's what they're cooking up.
I just also want a Subspace that was the most disappointing thing with it being on the Wii is it still looked nice, but didn't look like what it could, like we were stuck in that 720 type of world, and that's what that would be my pitch, because you do that and then you make people miss that almost proper Smash, and that's what it's like when and plus even then too, if they're sitting around they have no idea what to do with that Smash, that to me is like a great engine or idea, like hey, we can kind of like serve that audience a little bit here. And plus I still actually think that game would just sell super well. Like I don't think it would be like, oh man, it's gonna be like, I'm not saying it would stack up like Ultimate numbers, but I think if you just had Subspace the game, obviously you still have that Smash Bros title, I think it's going to sell very, very well still. So, and
I mean, like on top of that, like in terms of the Smash like history, like it's always been like, okay, with if you had a Wii, you could still play Melee on that Wii because it takes GameCube discs. Wii U, you could put Brawl in there as well, right? And now we're in a case here where, like, on the Switch 2, you can just play Smash Ultimate on there. So if you just want to battle with your friends and have access to 90 characters, that game will still be relevant for another, 7 or 8 years. Like it's not going to go anywhere. They don't got to discount it. It'd be a good time to like do that kind of thing too. And like they could, even if they really want to sell it, make some more money, like Ultimate Edition. Obviously they'd come up with a better name, but like here's all the DLC characters boiled down into one. You probably don't add anything because then it's like, okay, well now it's just like a new game at that point. But maybe you throw Waluigi in there or something, just to throw a bone for like, here's a reason for fans to buy this again. So, anyway, we should stop there, or else we could go on for another hour. But like I said, many more Smash Bros. Episodes to come. once again, Cocktail Clay's list. Number 10, Mario Kart Double Dash, which I will say, if you listen to our trivia battle, Cocktail Clay, you spelled this game wrong, so check your spelling there. Number 9, Smash Brawl. Number 8, KOTOR. Number 7, Call of Duty Black Ops 2. Number 6, Super Mario Galaxy. Number 5, Super Mario Baseball. I love baseball being above Galaxy. That's amazing.
So hard.
Park.
Yeah, bad spot for me. Tough spot. So
number 4, he says Lego Star Wars. So I'm
Hell
unclear if which one he means exactly.
I bet he
by
means that OG 360 one, in my opinion. That's what I'm thinking. Like I could be wrong, but I feel like
the original trilogy, or like the or the one that had like both the original
I
and the.
I think the combo pack. I
That
feel like
combined
to
one?
me, when people say Lego Star Wars, that's what they're referring to, is that combo pack one.
For
Because that
sure.
was the
I never had the
ultimate
combo
game
one. I always
experience.
just had the 2 separate GameCube
Oh,
games.
nice.
So I never had it all in one. But
Yeah.
number 3, Skyrim. Number 2, Smash Melee, and number 1, Red Dead Redemption 2. So I won't spoil my list. I want people to listen to our episode on Patreon, of course, but a lot of similarities here between his list and mine, at least in terms of like series, maybe not individual game picks. But yeah, a lot of, I mean, I just, Mario Baseball being a top 5 is such a hilarious thought to me, but like it's very Clay. I feel like that Clay doesn't play a ton of games from my perception, but I feel like, this seems like very him, and I feel like he's a sports guy, obviously American. Baseball's a big thing down there, so it's a good pick. I like.
And he said nostalgia, which I understand, right? Because that
And
for
is he
me
talking
is
about the GameCube one? Do you think with that, or because I think it was called Mario Baseball, and then it was called Sluggers on the Wii. I think it actually a different series.
I
name,
feel like
right?
I feel like you have to confirm this, Clay, but I feel like I would love to play the GameCube one, because I hate that Wii one so much. Not just because like I lost to Kirkland by like 1 run each time in fucking Toadsworth, but just like I just feel like it's literally a game where you'll swing the exact same way, and one time it'll hit it and one time it's just frustrating. But to me, I see that's like, it all depends what you grow it with. Like for me and Taylor, we're big like Strikers fans, right? So that may appear in some lists. And Red Dead Redemption 2 is that also feels like Clay, because I know he likes his westerns, and it's a very cinematic game. But I was surprised by 2, but I always forget that tons of people consider 2 above 1, where I'm not in that camp. And 1 was on my list, but honestly, Dylan, after we did the episode, I questioned if I was wrong on having it on the list, and you can hear what I talked about on that episode. But yeah, Red Dead.
Well, you kind of miscounted, right? You were like, "Oh shit, I didn't mean to not have it on there." So
yeah,
it's
so
unfortunate that
next at the 20 year, I'll fix it. So
yeah, so this and then other people coming up also have a lot of Smash representation on the patrons list. Like I think we should do like a Smash Ultimate night, like whether it's an after 9 thing or just otherwise. I feel like that would be really
we could do a games
fun.
night.
It's a little exclusionary for people who don't own the game, of course, but just for people who are in, I think it would be a fun time to get some 8-player GV battle in there. I think that would be a really good time. So.
No, we should definitely do a games night. I think we haven't done a games night really in a while, so maybe
it's been a minute.
Yeah, maybe 2026.
Or if you have enough, do a Clock Tower, Blood on the Clock Tower night would be a really
I would love to do
We'd
that
need
with
a lot
the
of people for that,
patrons.
but,
I would love to do that. Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Who else do we got here? We have April of Darkness. Here's my... Oh, wait, actually, one more thing from Clay. He said, honorable mentions of Bioshock, the Battlefront games, and Halo games. So, yeah, all, great shout-outs there. I love all those as well. Okay, yeah, April's list here. Number 10, Crash Bandicoot Warped. Number 9, Fallout 3. Number 8, Super Mario World. Number 7, Bioshock. Number 6, Ocarina of Time. Number 5, Starfield. Number 4, The Cave. Number 3, Fable 2. Number 2, Alan Wake. And number 1, Little Misfortune. So, I mean, the first thing that comes to mind here is the fact that she had, like, 2 games that I've never heard of is amazing. Because I feel like I know so much about video games, but I love that she came out here with 2 games I don't know of in Little Misfortune and The Cave. And Little Misfortune being the number 1 is crazy. So, that's on my Steam wish list now. I'm definitely going to pick that up, and I got to see what this game is all about. But I feel like, April's really into, like, horror and stuff, and that game seems like a kind of maybe a humorous, like, horror sort of experience. I don't know if it's a very personal, I'm not exactly sure, but love to see that one on there. I like Fallout 3 being the pick instead of a New Vegas, instead of a Fallout 4. I think that's a cool pick, but I really like that. I should actually ask her if she's played New Vegas and if that's just where she goes. But I feel like a lot of people, if they've played both of them, tend to lean New Vegas. But I don't know. I think that's a cool pick. But what stands out to you about April's list?
Well, Little Misfortune, never even heard. I had to look it up after. Alan Wake 2 led to an interesting discussion because I asked her about 2 and she said she had not played it yet. So
Yeah,
hopefully we
crazy.
may play that at a
game
similar
is such
time.
A evolution. You definitely got to check that out.
Yeah, so hope we play at a similar time and can talk about it on After 9 coming up. I loved seeing Starfield on the list. It was like nowhere near my 10 list, but I feel like you and me were way more positive on it than a lot of the world. I feel like Starfield's just, maybe it's because they did Fallout and Elder Scrolls. It's not looking like this big disappointment, but it just looks like fake people don't talk about it like it's on that level, which I do understand. But for me, there's so much stuff, especially as we talked about before. The New Game Plus stuff is one of the most creative things ever. Super Mario World, I love that pick. That has sunk many hours in that. And I said this in the Discord, but Crash Bandicoot Warped, that is the best Crash Bandicoot. So I completely am with her on that one. I love that one so much. It's such a fun, weird sci-fi. It has to do with like time travel and all this stuff. So that's I liked a lot of the stuff on the list there. So, but yeah,
and then I like seeing Starfield on there too. I feel like finally, if this new DLC, well, now that it's like got a name and is presumably coming out in the next few months or something, and I don't know if there'll be another big one after that. I feel like that could be it for Starfield. I mean, Todd Howard talked about how he wants to support this game forever, but like you can only support a game so much, so. Maybe he just said for like 10 years, or I forget exactly his quote, but something like that. But I feel like with this next DLC, maybe that's a good time for me to jump back in because I didn't play Shattered Space because I was waiting for maybe a little bit more juice. And so, having 2 new DLCs I think could be a good time for me to finally jump back in there. And then, what was the last one I was looking at? Oh, Fable 2. That was interesting to me as someone who just loves the first Fable so much, but like has never found that same reverence for the second or third games. I'm very excited for this new one coming out. We'll see what happens with that. But yeah, Fable 2, I like that pick because I think there was obviously a lot of great new features added to that one. I'm just so nostalgic for that first one. It's that's going to definitely be a retro that happens before that next one comes out with me and Kirkland for sure because big Fable fans over here. So I really like this list. And then I think last year was S-Bubs, and he did a big write-up for all these games, so definitely go over to the Discord and read.
Join the Discord to read S-Bubs'.
Because I won't read every single one of those things. And he said, I feel like I never replayed games enough or recently to rank them in any order, so here are my top 10 in no particular order. So he says Minecraft, Fortnite, Wii Sports Resort, Pokemon Sun, Breath of the Wild, Smash Ultimate, Enter the Gungeon, Hitman, World of Assassination, Disney Infinity, and Balatro. And if you know S-Bubs, this is like an extremely S-Bubs list, and I love that. It's like it's very indicative of him, whereas like I wouldn't be able to predict some of these other people's lists. Like I would never predict. Oh yeah, Clay definitely has Mario Baseball in his top 5, but I feel like with S-Bubs, I maybe could have guessed half of these. But I love that. I feel like a lot of these things are kind of recent games he's been playing recently too. And yeah, S-Bubs, I'm still waiting for your reply on how I should feel about Hitman and World of Assassination. Is that one game or is that 4 games or 3 games? And I struggle with that a lot, but I love that you just confidently put it in there. Obviously we know Espo is a big Fortnite guy, but also seeing Minecraft in the mixer. I love Wii Sports Resort was the fun one to throw in there for me. Yeah. Are you a resort or a regular Wii Sports guy if you had to pick one? And I know you're not a big
both,
Wii guy
but regular.
In general. Yeah.
I like them both, but regular. Other than the sword fighting in Resort, I just spent more time. That bowling and golf, those two together were a great time. And plus, you still had boxing in there. So yeah, I think I'm a regular one, but both really fun.
Yeah. And then I just wanted to bring this. He said, I haven't talked about it much, but I got Balatro a few months ago, and I've been totally addicted to it. So I like that that's like a very recent one, but I can definitely see that. In terms of like, if you haven't, I don't know, whether or not you've played a bunch of roguelike games, and he also has Enter the Gungeon on here, so obviously 2 roguelike games on the list. Those are some like great picks as far as that stuff go. What do you think about Disney Infinity being a top 10er there?
I think I had it on my honorable mentions when we did the list the first time.
You did. I remember.
Yeah, because that game, obviously, the downfall of it was a very expensive game that you had to buy and a bunch of characters. And obviously, it was a bit more like kiddie, but I remember me and Emily had such a good time with that. I wish, I should try to bust out and play with the kids. It's just such a pain. like all those characters, all the platformers on the wall. I wish they just did the game's dead. We're just gonna jailbreak it and you can just have access to everything. I wish they did that before it closed doors, kind of like what they did with Friday the 13th. But no, I respect that one because especially I'm not trying to date you, but I feel like obviously you're much younger than me, so I feel like that would have been some really hype stuff. I was hyped as an adult paying for rent at that time of just hey, we're going on a mission and we got Darth Vader, Spider-Man, and Jack Sparrow all teaming up. It definitely was Disney flexing their IP status.
It was also before we were a lot of people are like exhausted with crossovers now, but that was like
Yes.
before that exhaustion had sunk in yet, that fatigue.
Yeah, and I guess it was before that, but it was at the tail end of the toy per game kind of universe thing. I think that's what sunk it too, right? Because there were Skylanders, I think there was something else.
Well, didn't wasn't it like there was There was like a Star Fox thingy, like or something. Star Fox had like crossed over to maybe that wasn't Skylanders. I can't even remember now, but there was something weird there.
And I never played it too. I would like to, but again, you have to own everything. Lego Dimensions, that was another one that tried, but no, I respect that one. And Hitman, yeah, I respect that too. Didn't have my list, but I have a great love for the Hitman series and. Breath of the Wild, though, overrated game, S-Bubs, you know. So I do
wanna Tears of the Kingdom. I'll say that.
There you go. I do want to say one thing. I'd like to, if anyone is around the age of S-Bubs or in the future, I'd like to ask him when he said, "I feel like I never replay games enough or recently ranked them." I guarantee you, S-Bubs, you're not alone because I just feel like the pure volume of games that are out now when he was, because he's about like 10, 15 years younger than me, maybe something like that, maybe more. I feel like when we were that age, like when he was at that, you know, when he was a youngin', that's in Disney Infinity come out. When we were youngin', tons of games were out there, but I just feel like how the amount of them was not that much, and maybe it just helped that it wasn't as big. Plus, there's probably tons of games you didn't want to play again, right? You didn't have any interest. It's like, oh, I'm just gonna keep replaying this. Where I feel like we all have the issue where, like, even Starfield, I could legitimately probably still play Starfield for like 6 months straight and have a fun time. But then there's like all these other games I'm missing out on. Like Starfield, when I was playing it, I was like, oh, I'm completely gonna 100% everything. I want to go to not every planet, but do every side quest. And I just didn't have time. And I have no reason. I love that game. I have such a great time with it, but I just don't have the time. Now, obviously, as an adult, but I feel like even just in general, with so many games out there, I feel like with this generation, it's always gonna be harder to replay stuff because you just want to play the next new thing, right? So it's difficult.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I think my last point on his Pokemon Sun. I don't think I've ever seen anyone have that as their favorite Pokemon game of all time. So he has a description here of like just the time and place, school, released on his birthday. So obviously a lot of personal reasons, and that can do a lot for a game. But that was cool to see because I feel like that's kind of a forgotten generation to some extent, or not talked about as much these days. But that is a great pick. And yeah, so I think that was all the ones that were posted in our Discord. So yeah, if you want to get your top 10 reviewed by us, then just put it in the Discord at any point, and I'll include it in the episode. I'd love to talk about this kind of stuff. And if you want to hear ours, you got to go over to Patreon, where you also can get episodes early and ad-free and all sorts of other stuff. We also did top 10 movies of all time, and top 10 TV shows is happening this week, so that'll be up on Patreon in just a few days. So you want to check out all that stuff, and then all the other... Is there like at least 100 exclusive episodes up there? 10s at this point? Maybe not 100, but like there's a lot at this point in time.
I think we're in the 100
You can always go back
marks.
to the old catalog. We don't delete anything. We're no Disney Vault.
No.
It's all there.
I think we're definitely
search
in the
in bread and butter,
hundreds.
and you'll find all sorts of crazy topics and fun things we've done over the years. So
there's episodes like our top 10 albums that have never released. There's been a couple we've released, but
that was I forgot we did that too.
Yeah,
I don't know if mine would have changed a lot in the last 10 years. I'd maybe like add a Joni Mitchell album on there, but otherwise I think mine's pretty much the same in terms of albums.
Yeah,
but that's
I think mine's the same, or maybe my ranking as far as I don't know if we did a 1 to 10 like the importance level, but that could have changed. So I think there's certain people maybe over time that have just stuck with me like even a little bit more so as I've gone older. But no, I think because we've been doing that since 2018, so I think there's probably hundreds of episodes out there that are exclusive. So
yeah, for sure. So go check all that out. Let's take our last ad break. We'll be right back to talk about 007. All right, we are back. Last week, there was a state of play dedicated to 007 First Light. And yeah, as you mentioned, Travis, like this has kind of been an interesting time where we've heard about this game. They announced that they were developing it, so it wasn't like a surprise that they were doing this thing. But then I think it was the first time we actually saw a logo of it or anything. Was that like the Switch showcase at some point where they just literally had a logo and that was it? We're like, oh, I guess this is a Switch game, and I guess it's called 007 First Light. And then we started seeing like Summer Game Fest, and then IOI did their own showcase. And so I feel like it's kind of been all over the place. But it's been a weird marketing cycle in that, I feel like we had that first Summer Game Fest, or maybe it was a State of Play, I forget where it was, where we saw like the first bit of gameplay and like some info. And then IOI did their showcase and like barely showed anything more, and it was kind of underwhelming, even though it was their own showcase. That was kind of weird. But then they come out here with the State of Play, which is like, oh, here is like 30, 40 minutes of here's like 20, 25 minutes of just like straight up a level, and you're skipping through certain parts of it, but you're seeing like what the gameplay looks like from like start to finish to some extent. And then after that, here's like another 10, 15 minutes of just like here's a couple different scenarios and how the different ways it could play out based on player choice and the how creative you can get, all that kind of stuff. So I feel like this is like the exact kind of showcase, if I'm curious about a game, that I need to see like what is this game like. And I feel like I really got that idea of what the minute to minute will be like, and especially as I've played hundreds of hours of Hitman and this being their next game, so it shares a lot of that DNA, but here's like the differences, here's the new stuff. So I thought this was a really, really great state of play, really fun, really good way to show off the game. Gave us the release date of March 27th, which we knew 2026, but I don't think we had the window or date, so that was a new information as well. And so what stood out to you? What is the first thing that was like, wow, cool, interesting?
I know it's lame, but literally, you talk about the date. I thought this was way like further down the line. I don't know if this just screams like we got to get out before GTA, which I feel like
it might actually.
I just feel like you're gonna have a lot of games that are gonna do this, or be like, we're not coming till like November or December. Like, let's stay away because that game's just gonna, especially if any of those rumors are true, that it's more than the regular $80. Tons of people.
It's not black hole. Yeah.
Yes, it's not going to be GTA is too expensive. It's going to be all these other games are going to fall the wayside, right? So I was surprised by that, and that's why we will do it at some point in the future. But I think there was some newscast where me and Kirkland hinted like, oh, we'll probably do a James Bond, because our plan with the James Bond retros is just doing them actor by actor. So we're going to let the patrons vote, but we're not going to do that now because we won't have time to, because March is, they got the Punisher retro, and then the patrons right now, if you are a patron for the whole week, we are a patron. We are accepting your submissions for what we're going to review for the GV day, the one they unlocked. So right now they're doing submissions. We will vote on that. The producers will vote on that next week. So that's not happening. So I was just surprised that March. I'm hoping that's an actual date, and it's not just like I feel like it's legit. I know that feels like a dumb thing to say in the video game world because things can always happen, but I feel like just with the way this roll of we hear nothing and then like a big first look at it, and then we get a 30-minute state play, not just like a 10-minute here's a little bit thing, a 30-minute state play. So I think, and it has been cooking for a while, right? Like since that announcement, they announced it and it was quiet. It wasn't like a bunch of stuff here and there. I feel like they came out to show it because they are ready to release it. And so I was surprised about the date, but overall the showcase, I was a mixed bag on it. I think what the game is I'm gonna really enjoy this game. So I think what was in there was good. I think just what they showed was very clunky at times. That there was like the fact that they started like, oh, we're gonna show you the full mission. Just cut the driving part out. You don't need to show us that. Like that was really just, especially watching it live, was what are we, no scroll option? Like, what are we doing here? Like, they're giving us context and stuff of things we don't really know yet because we haven't seen the cutscenes. And what was weird is you do this and you have the whole, like, Hitman, he's walking through looking at stuff. Then later on, there's another driving sequence. So if you would have wanted to show up, like, hey, just make sure one driving sequence in there. So I thought the overall showing of it didn't feel great. And even they did the whole mission and then went back and showed some stuff. But overall, I think it's this great combination of, like obviously Hitman and then obviously Uncharted, especially with a lot of those action cutscenes and just some of the set pieces. And then like the old, you could throw GoldenEye in this, but GoldenEye, Nightfire, I think it's like called Everything or Nothing, like that era of Pierce Bronson games that were not in the movies, but they made it just his likeness. Because there's stuff where it's like Bond gets a gun, shoots a car a couple times, and just massive explosion. Where I feel like the Hitman games, they have some hidden reality, but it feels like a lot of times it's trying to be somewhat realistic. You're a Hitman on a mission. This definitely felt like, oh, we're going for like a big blockbuster. This like even stuff with the plane. It's like, this isn't really going to make sense. This is going to be very over the top, but I think they should do that. And I think we had mentioned this when they were released before. I'm not surprised about it, but I very much like that they're going heavy on the gadget side of Bond, because that's something obviously with the Craig era they didn't do. They're trying to be almost like some of the Hitman, more realistic, more, hey, he's a secret agent, but he's more just a brute guy that's going to use his fist. Where I like Bond with you can literally pull the laser at any time, and I think that really helps differentiate from Hitman, because there's a lot of this that looks like it is just Hitman reskinned, right? But then when you start to add that stuff like the watch or the laser or just different sort of gadgets and ways you can handle it that have maybe you wouldn't like Hitman, I think that works. So the actual what they showed, I'm very excited. This was, unless it was just gnarly footage. This was always a day one, but this got me very excited. And I'm getting the approach where I remember where, like with Indiana Jones last year, I thought, okay, this looks fun, but that's what I thought I was going to have, where it ended up being my game of the year. I absolutely love that game. I kind of have the same vibe here where none of this, what I'm seeing so far, screams game of the year, screams like, oh man, what they did with Batman Arkham games, I'm going to have it here, but it could sneak up on me when I'm playing the full thing. So I'm very happy with it. And overall, I actually think it was pretty positive. I had more issues with, I think, other people did. If I saw a lot of people in my timeline that are definitely people that are casual gamers saying, oh, I'm getting this day one. Again, granted, it's James Bond, but still, if something looks bad, I don't think people are just going to throw money, especially when I know, like, you know, one of our friends that's been on the Trivia Battle, Scott, like, I've talked to him all the time on Vodka Stream. He's host Trivia Battle. I think he buys like 1 or 2 games a year, but he's getting this, you know? So it's like I saw a lot of people that really just dip their toes in here and there where that this did enough for me to show I'm getting this, because my last point too before I throw to you, it's been forever since we had a Bond game too, you know, like that's something like that was a staple for me in those, like the GoldenEye to about 04. Whenever there was a Bond game out for GameCube or PlayStation 2, I was buying them. I had a fun time with those like made up Pierce Bronson adventures. But I think the last Bond game we got was, it might have been Quantum of Solace, I think, which that's the second Daniel Craig movie. That's a long time from now. So I think that's another thing too. It's kind of has a nostalgia itch, not even with the Bond movies, just Bond and gaming had an important place at one time too, you know? So
yeah, no, I mean, GoldenEye, you know, obviously a dated game by first person shooter standards today, but like that is one of the most iconic like N64 games and the most iconic games of that era. And I feel like the GameCube one, like Nightfire, like lived up to that hype even more to some extent, where it was like it was like a better quality game, and it still was like kind of in that era. And then since then, it's kind of just been like the licensed game sort of thing. And so this is kind of interesting that it, of course, is Bond, but it's not like based off a movie one. So it's not like, oh yeah, you're going to go see the movie, be hyped, and I want to play as Daniel Craig in a video game. Like that's not really what they're going for here. It's kind of a different thing. And so obviously that is a pro and a con to some extent. More of a blank slate, gives them more room for as the developers, but also you know, you got to make people like this character now. You got to make them buy into it. And this is like a bit of a origin story, it seems. They describe this gameplay sequence as like his first mission, or at least the first mission in the game, one or the other. I guess it would kind of be the same thing unless there's like a brief tutorial mission, if this is not what that is. But yeah, I want to go back to what you mentioned there about the tools, because, you know, obviously I'm very much coming at this of the lens of like, how is this similar to Hitman and how is this different? And obviously it's more high octane, more action-y than Hitman is. Like even the Hitman action moments are still like at most you can just barely jog a little bit with Agent 47. You're not like flying over ledges and all this kind of stuff. It's like much more slow paced and methodical. But what you mentioned there of like the tools, where in Hitman it's like, oh yeah, what am I going to bring into the level? Maybe I'll bring in some coin distractions. Maybe I'll bring in a lockpick. Maybe like an SMG. And it's like, okay, that's kind of it. And then you got to go in the level, find a bunch of things. You pick up a bunch of items as you're going through the level, use these things, you use them up. But this seems like, okay, rather than that, you're given all these tools, or maybe you're unlocking throughout the game. I don't know if there's like a skill tree or whatever, but you're just getting things as you go through the game. But rather than like the ammo capacity or like your inventory space being the limiter, it's how much of these different currencies, or currency is probably not the right word, but there's like a power looking bar.
I think it said focus. It was like a focus bar. Well, yeah, you're right. The lightning bolt was a focus.
Like 3, it looks like. There's like one that's like a thunderbolt electricity thing. The one that's like a little science like flask kind of thing, and then one that was like, I don't even know. It's like a generic kind of power-looking thing.
Yeah.
And so they said that rather than going through the level like, oh, I picked up a hammer and now I have access to a hammer like you'd have in Hitman. Instead, it's like, oh, I walked by some like tech device and I can pick that up and like siphon the battery out of it. And now I have like more battery power that I can use for like, here's all this range of things that use battery in my tool set. And now I can just use these things. So kind of that more maybe traditional system than just like collecting a bunch of things. And then obviously the things are broken down into like power, science, energy, whatever it is. But then that energy bar, and I don't know if that's the correct name for these things, but I don't think they ever said them in the showcase, so I kind of just have to make them up. That's one of the things that leads into your ability to like bluff through a sequence. So like one of the points in this is that Bond like blows through a window, and then some waitstaff is like, dude, what the hell? And he's like, oh, I'm supposed to be, I'm like a repairman or whatever he says. But it seems like you need to have the bar charged up enough to be able to do that stuff. And then I forget what it was, but there's like other things that use up that same currency. So you're going to have to like build things up. And so I'm curious to see how that goes through the levels. Some of it's going to be straightforward, but I still think there'll be a little bit of like exploring your surroundings, collecting stuff. And it seems like these levels are pretty big. Like the first level we see here obviously is that driving sequence. And when I did a little like YouTube watch along of watching this showcase, and I was commenting on just like, man, are you even driving this, or is this like a cutscene? But then it seems like, okay, well, you're obviously driving the car chase later, so it seems like you're doing the driving up to the place as well. But like, how much freedom is there to just like fly off the road and like smash into stuff? Because that would kind of ruin, I don't know, the narrative of the level. But like, do you have that kind of freedom to it? But then obviously there is like that car chase sequence, so obviously driving's a thing, which I didn't know if we'd have stuff like that, just because Hitman is such a stiff game, and I mean that in a good way. It's just like so precisely designed. Like each ledge you can go on is like designed so you can go to like these two separate spaces, whereas this feels like a lot more freeform, and maybe I'd even say like traditional, but it just seems like it's less puzzly like Hitman is, and more but it still has like that same openness. Like when you first go to this gala high security like mansion castle thing, like that just seems like a Hitman level that you've played before. And two of the narrative kind of little tidbits that I really liked here is this first level is set in the Carpathian Mountains, which I think is like in Romania, or maybe that mountain chain like connects to multiple countries or whatever. But that's the final mission in Hitman World of Assassination, is you as 47, like the Carpathian Mountains are like the final very mission. And even they added a DLC map, but like chronologically like put it before that one. Like they want that to be the final mission. So kind of weird to me that like that's a very specific connection to make this the first mission of the game and the last mission of their last game. And then on top of that, the kind of premise of this level, and it's like obviously different than like you do have a target, you're going after 009, but there's, I don't know if the target system, obviously it's not going to be quite the same as a Hitman assassination game, but like the setting of this level is that there's like this high level chess match going on, and that's why a lot of these people are gathered. And like I did a whole video, a YouTube video on like chess in Hitman, because there's chessboards everywhere. There's multiple missions, and there's like even a level where you have to like take out like a chess protege like guy. So I don't know. There's like certain connections here to their previous stuff that I find really interesting.
You had Lashif in Hitman already, right? So like course, they're working on it. But like I wouldn't want any crossover, but I would love if you could have if Hitman 47 was like, because I don't think as Bond and I would assume, because obviously in the Hitman games, you can just take out guns and you could kill everybody, right? Even innocent people. I'm going to assume you can't do that in Bond ones. I feel like if you would kill, I guess I haven't answered this, but I almost would be fine if you like accidentally capped an innocent, if that was like game over for you. Because to me as Bond, that shouldn't be what you're doing. So that's why I would actually love if just even like at a bar somewhere, like sitting down, Hitman 47 was there. And you can't like you can interact with him, maybe just talk to him, but that's it. Like you can't shoot him or anything, because like if you shoot them, game over. But
maybe he's like in disguise, like he's dressed up as like a waiter or something, and you're like, who is he trying to kill here? Like that would be
something like
all
that.
I would ask for. That would be so great if they had
or
that
he
little
like
Easter egg in there.
How you talk to the bartender, if it was a bartender looked like eerily like Agent 47, like wait a second, because then that'd be
imagine if he was a cameo in every level, like as he's dressed up as like a different employee at this place.
I would absolutely do that. Of like you just see you can't interact with them, or you might say something, but that's about it, you know. So, but I guess that's a good question. I want to know. Can you just kill all the the innocents, you know?
They somewhat sort of kind of maybe tiny bit answered that in here, where one of the things that happens at a certain point where there's like an action sequence and it seems like, okay, there's no stealth going on at this point. Like we've officially gone into full action mode, and then a pop-up on screen comes up that says license to kill. And so now you are given you are allowed to kill people, whereas before I guess you just have to knock them out, chloroform them, kneecap them, that kind of stuff. Obviously that's a little bit different than like killing civilians. I don't imagine you'll ever get that. And because I think with this state of play, some like press people got like a backstage thing where they got like more information, and one of the things I heard was that yes, this license to kill thing can pop up when you're in like a really dire situation. Like it can happen naturally, and if a mission's going the wrong way and there's a bunch of people after you. But it also happens in like certain story moments where you're given the license to kill for like, presumably to like take out a target essentially. So I'm really curious to see what that looks like in the level, but like not that you would ever be given the license to just kill civilians freely. I imagine that's just to kill goons and stuff. And like if you do kill a bunch of civilians, do you just get a bad score, Hitman style, or do you fail and have to like reload a save or whatnot? I'm so curious to see what that looks like.
Yeah, because technically the movie's license to kill, Bond is like allowed to kill anybody that gets like is endangering the mission. So if it is someone like if it is an innocent person, technically Bond is allowed to kill them. But I would not like that in the video games because I just feel like that's a good way to kind of differentiate from Hitman. Not that like many people are doing that, but hey, if you watch Kirk and Platzer play on the 24-hour stream, that is some people's gameplay style that you just kill everybody in your way, right? So as Bond, I would like no, I feel like you got to have some like because if Bond does that, come back, he's not a 00 anymore. That your status, you're 009 on the run, which I did find very interesting. They did this whole roll call, which I didn't really know many of them other than the guy who's playing M. They did not reveal who 009 is. So I think there's two ways that's going to go. I think either the second trailer, they're going to reveal that and it's another hype. I think it's an actor of more note. Okay. So I think, because like, why wouldn't you just show it in that roll call, right? Of all the actors.
And I always done that a lot. Like with Hitman, they have so many like celebrity crossover stuff.
Yeah. So I feel like either in the next trailer, kind of like Kojima style, where, you know, every Death Stranding trailer kind of had a new person. I bet it's that. Or what I would love, almost like the Smashing, I would love it if we didn't know, and if it didn't leak, if we could see that actor for the first time in the game. Because even then, remember when they revealed this, I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's Patrick Gibson, and they did not confirm it till last week. I was surprised. Like, and like, oh, we want to confirm. It's like, no, we figured it out. We've seen Dexter, but that's my theory with 009, that it is going to be someone. I'm not saying it's going to be like Daniel Day-Lewis or George Clooney, but someone like, even if it was like Troy Baker, someone where someone would go, oh, like, you know, cool. Because I don't think Troy's going to do it right after doing a villain Death Stranding, but someone, or even if it was like Nolan North, like someone either in the movie world, TV world, video game of note. Same with Patrick Gibson, like, he's not a massive star, but it's like, okay, that's the guy from Dexter. Like, he has some big IP stuff going on.
He could be in like a couple of years, so it feels like it could be a nice catch for them here.
Make it Michael C. Hall 009. Just go full meta with it, you know?
Oh my god, that'd be sweet. Yeah. Let's see a couple other things. So yeah, I one of the things that I really liked, it seems like there's a lot of just interacting with the environment in certain ways. Like, I don't know, like one of the action sequences just had you kind of like I don't know, you can like grab onto people, it seems like, and you can just like chuck them into stuff, and it just seems like there's a lot of unique kind of bespoke animations for this kind of stuff. Like one of them is he grabbed like a henchman and like just threw him onto like a pool table and got like smashed on the pool table, and like a bunch of the balls like flew around the board, which seemed cool. The really interesting moment is when you're like in this airplane and you like hack the plane and then you can like tilt it left or right, and it's almost like the Inception hotel of like the world, the walls shifting and you're smashing these boxes into people, which I swear in that sequence one of the boxes like smashes right into him and it just like doesn't do anything. Like it seems like it only affects the enemy, so it's just like it's all there for like the power fantasy of being a big spy, which is really fun. And then just like the little Hitman, like the most Hitman thing I feel like that happens in here, which is not a thing from Hitman, but just feels like it should have been, is like he baits a guy to go into a door, and then he like closes the door and like knocks the handle off, so the guy is like locked in the door. Little things like that. I can't wait to see all the weird little interactions you can do, and I'm sure with the tech, obviously they showed like smoke bombs and like other things like that, but I'm sure you can like hack the systems and like turn things on, turn things off in all sorts of different ways, similar to like that plane sequence. And that stuff I'm really looking forward to. And as you mentioned, just like that's all kind of there with you as your toolkit, rather than like, oh, I brought in my like hack-a-majig and now I can like hack this one thing like in a Hitman style. But this seems like as long as you got the energy, you can do that stuff, but you kind of have to plan it out. So all that stuff seems cool. And then, you know, another big question I had, because they've talked about there is replayability in this game, although I feel like every developer says that about their game, so you're more incentivized to buy it. But obviously that means a bit more for me with IO because of how replayable Hitman is. But they've said it's like maybe less, here's an endless board of challenges and different ways to beat the mission like in Hitman, but more so there's just like other ways you can have replayability. But I'm really curious what that looks like now, because if you have this sequence where it takes 5 minutes for you to drive up to this mansion, you do the mission or first mission, and then you're in this car chase, and then you're like at this airplane base, and then you're in this airplane, like that seems like a really long mission to replay. Like, do you do the driving sequence every time, or do you get like different entrances like Hitman style, where it's like, okay, now you don't have to drive up to the mission because you start as like not as wait staff, because it doesn't seem like there's like that social or that the like disguise system that Hitman has, but like maybe you just start at the castle now. But then like, do I still have to do the chase scene every time? Is that going to be fun to do over and over again? So I didn't really get an answer to that, and I'm still very curious how that looks like, because this one mission, presumably what seems like one mission, seems like pretty lengthy and has like multiple different sequences. So it doesn't seem as elegant as replaying a Hitman level, just because those are set at one location with like exfiltration, infiltration, but that's more of a cutscene than like actual gameplay. So still, that's maybe my biggest question of this, because obviously that's one of the reasons why I love Hitman and why these maps are my favorite of all time, is because I've replayed them 30 times or more, or, especially with freelancer mode. I've played some of them like 50 times probably, just because there's so much incentive and these levels are so in depth. So I'm really curious to see what some of that stuff looks like.
Yeah, I feel like that's almost, which would sound like counterpoint, but to me it's not. I think that's why the worlds are going to be bigger. So you just or the levels will be a lot bigger because you do a lot in that area. So you almost, it sounds weird. You won't feel the need to replay them per se. Like I feel like the replay value would almost be, I just want to replay the game from start to finish and experience certain things again. I don't think it's gonna be like Hitman where you go in and like they gave some options, like you can do it stealthily, you can have action, but even then they said like sometimes there's going to be times in levels where no matter what you have to do action, right? Where there's tons of Hitman, I'd say majority of Hitman levels that you could choose whatever you want to do, right? Like if you want to play
and
every
it's considered
single
optimal
one,
if you never get spotted. Like that's
exactly.
You get the highest score by not changing your suit and never getting spotted in that game, right? Like that's, it's incentivized with the gameplay where they're not going to do that here.
So yeah, if there's a replay thing, I hope it's just like I don't know what they call, not it wouldn't be called quick cut mode or something like that, where it just drops you right at the house and you kind of go from there. But I don't think it's going to have that same factor, which I think could be a negative for some people, obviously. But obviously, I think they're also trying to go to a different demographic that's a bit larger on that scale, as far as just getting, those big moments, the plane moment, the car moment, etc. And that, because that would be, I don't know if you want to because that stuff, there's nothing different about replaying that, right? I don't think there's anything different about 5 guys you fight on the helicopter. Sure, you might kill them a little bit differently, but it's not like Hitman where it's like, oh, I could take out this guy in 3 different ways. What should I do this time? So,
although it's funny, I how programmed my brain is for Hitman, especially when I'm seeing another game by IO where he was walking through the building and I saw chandeliers. I'm like, oh yeah, I want to drop those on people's heads. Like I have so many of those things just like ingrained in my brain now, just looking for opportunities wherever they may. But I think maybe my last point here is, and it sounds like a silly point, but I think it's worth making here, is that like combat looks great. Like I think the game looks really fast paced. The movement of like, jump, sliding behind like a chest high wall, shooting explosive barrels. There's so many fucking explosive barrels in this game. It's like it's like comical how many there are.
Oh, that's what I meant by with the GoldenEye, like old school, when they panned out and like and he hits his watch and they highlight all of them, just like 5 barrels, massive gasoline barrel. Yeah, which I kind of want, right? Like with them doing the gadgets, I'd rather them go the more like just very Bond fantastical, because that's how the old games were. It'd be like, you'd be on a boat driving, but then for some reason on that boat beside you, there's like a gasoline tank sitting on the boat that you can just blow out, right? It's like, I want that stuff. Like, why is there so much of these explosives around? Because it's a fun secret agent, world. Okay, great. That works for me. Do that the whole game. So,
yeah, and especially because the game is so gorgeous and the lighting's great. Like the explosions look fantastic. So I'm very excited for that because, I had low expectations for what the combat would look like, just because Hitman is not a great action game, right? It's a great stealth game and it's a great puzzle game, but it's just an okay action game. But I feel like they obviously had to flip that for what it means to be Bond, and I feel like they've really done that here. And I like that they didn't show a ton here. It seems like they showed one mission and then like maybe a bit of a second one where we're getting like that kind of, I don't know, it almost seems like a construction area. That could even be the same level, like just underneath in like the facility part of this like huge mansion. I don't really know, but I like that there's still so much. I still have like a lot of curiosity of what these different levels are going to look like, the different areas we go to. Is it going to be like a Hitman globe trotting adventure? Are we going to go to Japan for a mission? Are we going to go to China for a mission? Are we going to stay in North America? We're obviously in presumably Romania here in the Carpathian Mountains. So I can't wait to see the locations they pick. Maybe we'll finally get a map set in Canada. Hitman never did that, but give me a Toronto, give me a Vancouver, give me one of those. But I just want to see IO's take on one of those things. But
even like
I can't wait to see that stuff.
And even like some boss battles, because like that was big in the James Bond game, so I want some of that. Almost like how we talk about Death Stranding when they do those like face-offs. Like I don't think everything, but they should. To me, there are some staples. So when they show the drive, I'm like, that's a staple of a Bond thing. Boss battles to me should be another staple as well. So I hope we get a couple of those. So.
Yeah. Anything else that we haven't mentioned yet?
No, other than like some of the skins look fun. It's pretty ridiculous that USD $300 like collector's edition. I get it that you get the like collector's golden gun. Definitely didn't say I never fully thought about, but went, oh, that'd be nice. But then I moved on. But just some gnarly like deal Amazon deals going on. But no, I'm very excited. I hope it doesn't get delayed. I'm excited. Like I've said before, GTA, Lego Batman. that. I'll pick up Ghost for Legends. I think there's another 2026 game we've talked about recently. Like next year is already stacked, and this is like the Q4 things we know about going next year. There's gonna be so much stuff and even then too, we did talk about. I should have added next time. I will for Gamescom. Finally got more details about Replaced. Finally, they came out of their cave and talked about this game. No, there's not.
Okay, well then that's what I'll bring it up. I'll bring it up the day it has a release date.
Perfect. I think it is just next year, but for me, there's already that's like, and I try to like I said recently. Now I've been trying to limit the new games I buy because there's so many games in the backlog that I'm always like I want to get to. So this year I was happy to knock off some games on those lists, but next year I'm very much worried. So that's why now when I talk about like Ghost, like yeah, maybe I will skip that till Legends because I would like to knock off a few more like Alan Wake and other ones because next year and like they're not like even Lego Batman. It's not like that's a massive game, but lots of times those Lego games are big if you want 100% it right. And I love doing that with the girls already. GTA, we know that's like a 2-month game, and then you think about I don't know if it'll be at launch, but when GTA Online comes on, that's like a whole nother. That's another game pretty much, right? Like for that month, like what we did with Helldivers, because we never got to be around for that era. We're going to be doing that with GTA and that Sidequest episode. So yeah, it's going to be fun. But 2026 is some big games. So I'm excited to kind of, I think that'll be the first big one. And even too, like maybe I'm wrong, but I would assume if we're getting some sort of update on Wolverine in the next month and a half, I would assume that's also next year as well. I would put a safe bet that that's more fall next year, kind of like Spider-Man, but still, it's another massive game. So yeah, I'm excited for this one, and I hope it delivers because I am in the part where I don't think it would. But if any of these big games come out and have like a really bad reception, that would make me go, you know what? I'm going to wait. Kind of like, obviously, it ended up being good, but kind of like that launch of Cyberpunk. When that happened, I was buying that. But when that happened, like, I'm going to wait. And I never got to it. But that's what I mean. If any of these games don't have a good coming out party, I will skip them because there's just so much stuff coming out. But I'm confident in Bond because I am confident in Lego. I'm very confident in GTA. I'm confident. I'm confident enough in Replaced. I don't know. You never know. That could come out and just be a stinker. But yeah, we'll see. But I'm excited. Next year's looking good.
Yeah. So far, I mean, there's not a lot of dates right now, but a lot of 2026 is like even Marvel Tokon is set to come out next year. So if that's like in that same, because for some reason that was seeming like a June-ish sort of game for me, but that's really close to GTA. Now I guess that is somewhat separate markets, although it feels like GTA just sucks up every market imaginable. Like everyone wants to play that. But yeah, then like starting the year off with Resident Evil in February and then 007 in March. Like yeah, it's gonna be, and then GTA in May. Like that's gonna be a kick, like a really great first half of the year. And then there's always a ton of things dropping in the fall, and obviously, especially probably even more as you mentioned, because things want to distance from GTA. So I think next year is gonna be pretty insane. I imagine Switch 2 is gonna have a couple big Nintendo like first party games coming out that they haven't announced yet. So yeah, I think it'll be a pretty crazy year for games, and this year has been pretty crazy as well, even though GTA got delayed out of it. But yeah, if you want to stay tuned with all that, of course, subscribe. Check out all we're doing over here at Sidequest. We'll be back next week for more video game goodness. Thank you for joining me, Travis. Thank you for listening, everyone. Thank you for sending your top 10 lists. Remember to send in more if you want me to review them. And yeah, we will see you again next time. Bye-bye.